So biotic and abiotic factors you know, and we have been discussing about the role of abiotic factors in the culture of a fish. And now we will see what are the important influence of biotic factors in the life of a fish in a pond. So here you can see that biotic factors in water bodies mainly consist of plants and animals and plus microorganisms. These are the biotic factors. The plants living in a water like plankton. Planktons are plants. Then animals living in water. Food plankton is an animal. Then small fishes are animal. Big fishes are animal. These are insects living in water are all animals. So normally if we look at the aquatic vegetation, if you take the vegetation on a aquacultural pond, we can find different zones are there. Say this is a aquacultural pond, and in an aquacultural pond like this we can see different layer of plants or different zones of plants are there. There is a top layer, there is a bottom layer, and there is a middle layer. And we will see what are the different zones of a layer. The first zone is the bottom zone. Here you can see that this is the bottom zone. This is the bottom zone. This is the bottom zone. Now what are the plants which are living in the bottom zone? The bottom zone mainly consists of certain bacteria. The type of bacteria are the sulfur bacteria and iron bacteria. Then flagellates are there. Flagella, that is the bacteria or small organism with a long flagella are called flagellates. Then we have blue-green alga will be there. Then another type of alga called diatoms will be there. So these are the type of organisms which are mainly living at the bottom of the pond. So at the bottom of the pond we can see sulfur bacteria, iron bacteria, diatoms will be there, and few other organisms are also present at the bottom of that. And these are the organisms which are mainly responsible for decomposition or decaying process of the plants and animals. So when aquatic plants or aquatic animals are dying, these are the bacteria and microorganisms which are responsible for the decomposition or decaying of these animals and plants. So their role is to decomposition of aquatic animals and decomposition of aquatic plants. That is the role of this bacteria or microorganism present in the bottom zone. Then say another zone is a zone of submerged. Submerged means below the water. Submerged means below water. Submerged rooted. Rooted means plants having roots. Aquatic means aquatic plants. So there is a layer or zone of submerged rooted aquatics. They consist of higher plants like Vallisneria, Hydrilla and Otellia. Here you can see that. These are the zone of aquatic submerged because this is the water level. It is below. So it's a zone of submerged rooted. They are attached to the mud, attached to the bottom soil. So that is why they are rooted plants. So it's a zone of submerged rooted aquatic, a zone of submerged rooted plants, plants with the roots. Their roots are attached to the bottom of the pond. So there is such a pond, and this pond and this layer is mostly formed of certain plants like what are the Vallisneria, Hydrilla, Otellia. These are the three important types of plants which are occupying the second zone known by the name zone of submerged rooted aquatics. Then third zone, going to the third zone we have to see it is a zone of unattached submerged free floating vegetation. Unattached means they do not have a root. Even if they have a root, the roots may be poorly developed and not able to fix the plant to the soil. So it will be unattached. Submerged means below the water. Free floating means it will be below the water but floating in that water. So that layer is known by the name consists of some plants like Ceratophyllum and Utricularia. Here you can see that. Here, there are some plants here. These plants which are floating in the middle of the water, like Ceratophyllum or Utricularia, are coming under the third zone. Unattached, submerged, free floating plants. Unattached means not attached to the bottom of the soil with the help of roots, and free floating means they are floating in the middle of the water, not above the water. It is still submerged below the upper level of water. And you can also see these are the 2-3 important plants like what is that, Ceratophyllum and Utricularia. These are the 2 important and types of plants which are occupying the middle third zone, the zone of unattached, submerged, free floating vegetation. Now the fourth zone, coming to the fourth zone, it is a surface vegetation. What is the fourth zone? Here you can see this is the fourth zone. The plants which are living above the water level. The plants which are living above the water level are known by the name zone of surface vegetation. So they will be present above the water level. They will be present above the water level, and they will be consist of some planktons will be there, microscopic plankton and also macroscopic plankton. Smaller plankton and bigger plankton. That is the meaning of the micro plankton and macro plankton, and they will be floating on the surface of the water. Then what are the different types of microplankton? Their microcystis will be there, chlorella will be there, euglena is there, then certain zoospores are there, then volvox are there. So these are the different types of microplankton, microphytoplankton, or simply microplankton, which are occupying the surface layer of water. And in addition to that, there will be macroscopic plankton, or small plants like there will be Pistia. It is an algae. Then Salvinia, it is another algae. Then Wolfia, Lemna, Azolla. These are the common type of green algae which are occupying the surface of a water. If you go to any pond or any lake or any river, you can see that surface of that lake or pond will be usually green, and that green color is either formed of Lemna or Wolfia or Azolla or Pistia and Salvinia. Salvinia, we know, which we call the African pine. So these are the common type of vegetation which are occupying the surface layer of water. So surface layer of water will be consists of certain floating plants, and the different types of floating plants, for example Pistia, Salvinia, these are all present in our own locality also. If we go to any pond or any lake, we can find all these different types of Pistia or Salvinia will be there. So that is a layer of surface layer. So that is the fifth, sixth layer, fourth layer, the zone of surface vegetation. So these are the different types of vegetation layer that we can find. Now we have to see what are the importance of algae in aquaculture. This is an important question. In many question paper I have seen a question like that. Comment on the importance of algae in aquaculture. So we have to understand why algae is of so much importance, because here you can, I will show you some pictures like this. This is a view of an algae, lake covered with a lot of algae, but there is a multiplication of algae, an excess of algae. In the beginning it looks so fine, but after some time this is highly dangerous for that pond. I will tell you why it is so dangerous, not good for the pond. So importance of algae is that the major difference between terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem is that in a terrestrial ecosystem, the major rooted plants are the major producers. For example, you take any forest. The plants growing in that forest are the major producers. That is, the producers means the organisms which are producing food, or the organisms which are capable of doing photosynthesis, conducting photosynthesis. They are the producers. But in a aquatic ecosystem, the microscopic organism or planktons are the major producers. The planktons which do not have any roots are the major producers in an aquatic. So that is a big difference between a terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. In a terrestrial ecosystem, plants which are having roots are the major producers. Whereas in a water body or in an aquatic ecosystem, plants which do not have a roots, like small plants like plankton, phytoplankton, they are the major producers in a aquatic ecosystem. So that is the main difference between terrestrial ecosystem as well as an aquatic ecosystem. Now, in abundance, phytoplankton gives water a greenish color, which I have already shown, and these producers are not visible to the casual observer. We cannot see each microscopic algae very easily, but they will be present in thousands or millions in numbers. So that is why they are giving the water a green color, but their presence is not suspected, because for every normal person or lay person, an average person, I mean a common person, he can easily say that water body is containing lot of algae. If there are lot of algae, it will be green in color. So that green color is actually caused by the presence of lot of algae. In a large deep pond or lake, the phytoplankton is much more important than a rooted vegetation, because the phytoplankton are the main source of food. Because in a lake or in a river or in a pond, there will be number of fish, and for the life of this fish, they need a lot of food. The main food in a pond or in a river or in a lake is the phytoplankton. It is this plankton which are acting as the most important source of food for fishes living in a lake or a pond. So aquaculture ponds are usually fertilized with natural fertilizer like cow dung or chemical fertilizer. What is the purpose of adding fertilizer? The cow dung is a fertilizer, or we will be utilizing some artificial chemical fertilizer. Purpose is that most of this fertilizer like cow dung or artificial fertilizer will be containing a lot of calcium, magnesium and phosphorus. Addition of this magnesium and phosphorus into the water will stimulate or improve the growth of algae in that. So that if there are lot of algae growing in a water body, that means there will be plenty of food for the fish. So if the fish are getting enough amount of food, enough amount of plankton, they will grow in large number and to a larger size. So without sufficient amount of algae, the growth of the fish will be affected, and their size will be poor, and their number will be also smaller. So that will be affecting the profit of the farmer. So that is why the farmers are usually adding a certain amount of fertilizer like a cow dung or artificial fertilizer into the pond. Now the problem that we have to see is that some of the cultured fish can directly feed on algal growth of the pond, while others depend upon the zooplankton that develops in succession. For example, in the Aesop pond there are two types of plankton. One is a phytoplankton, plant plankton, which are doing the photosynthesis. And there is another type of plankton called zooplankton. Zooplankton do not have photosynthesis, are not capable of photosynthesis. Zooplankton will be feeding on phytoplankton, plant planktons. So those type of plankton which are eating the phytoplankton or plant planktons are known by the name zooplankton. And for the fishes, they will be either feeding on phytoplankton or zooplankton. So normally when there is a growth of phytoplankton in a pond, after some time we can find large number of zooplankton also growing, and this zooplankton will be feeding on phytoplankton and checking their number in a certain level. So that is how the pond is remaining in a equilibrium, in a stable level. Then Some organisms of zooplankton occasionally occur in large number, very large number, and that situation is known as swarms. That will be causing. Swarm simply means abundance of zooplankton or phytoplankton. Large number of, or multiplication of, large scale multiplication of plant plankton or zooplankton is known by name swarms. And there are some organisms which are causing swarms, like protozoans like Difflugia, then Brachiones, Caratella, Philinia, Pedalia, then Cyclops are causing, Diatops are causing, Moina are causing. So these are all causing swarms. Swarms are also not good for the health of the aquaculture pond, because they can also cause certain other problem. Carp spawn immediately after stocking needs a plentiful supply of natural food in the form of animalcules. For example, if we are growing certain fishes like carp, like labio, there are different types of carp fishes are there. Grass carp is there, silver carp is there. So most of the carp species need plenty of plankton. Without plankton, this carp species will not grow properly. So immediately after the hatching of the carp, they need a plenty of plankton. If plankton, these kind of food are available in sufficient number, they will grow to a larger size. Then, so for maximum survival, a pond should contain rich crop of zooplankton, preferably rotifer and cladocer. So there are two important types of zooplankton which are mostly preferred by fishes. They are the rotifer as well as cladocer. So for a healthy pond, there should be sufficient number of phytoplankton, sufficient number of zooplankton also there, and their presence in sufficient number will be helpful for the proper growth of the fish. Now in the next class we will discuss what are the problem of algal bloom and how algal bloom can be harmful for a pond.